Man, I cannot wait for Borderlands 4 release date. It's gonna be absolute cinema because there's no way this isn't gonna be a disaster. I hope that it's not. I hope Borderlands 4 is at least better than the pre-sequel. But I'm not thinking that it's gonna be, especially with Randy Pitchford completely being a fucking massive retard. Apparently he's being a massive retard again. So what's up with it, Endymion?
Borderlands 4 is going to be a big hit. I genuinely do believe, regardless of the problems that are surrounding this game, that it will still sell well. However, there's one...
It's probably going to be another Assassin's Creed Shadows situation, though, where 4 million players return to form. And I'm probably going to see a million ads for it, because people like me should be buying Borderlands 4, right? And I totally would have if we were still running off the vibes of Borderlands 2. I don't think I'm going to be buying this game. Unfortunately, I don't think I am. I got burned with Borderlands 3. Got even more burned with Tales from the... Tales from the Borderlands 2. New Tales from Borderlands, whatever you want to call it. We Happy Few, remember that? That was also Gearbox. Alien Colonial Marines, remember that? Remember when they used to make the Brothers in Arms games? Those games were fucking awesome. Why haven't we got one of those? What about Homeworld? Or Homefront, whatever it was called. The third one. Complete disaster. Risk of Rain 2, complete disaster. Whenever they bought Risk of Rain 2 from the original developer and they just completely ruined it.
Really big problem with Borderlands 4 that we do need to discuss here. It's not the game's writing or its gameplay systems, but it's actually its CEO, Randy Pitchford. Look,
I think that the writing is probably going to be garbage. Gameplay probably going to be bloated. Maybe it's going to be good gameplay, but it's going to be bloated. There's too many things that you're going to be able to do. Kind of like what Call of Duty did, when there was just too many things you were able to do and it was just bloated and nobody liked it.
Look, I don't hate Randy. He's eccentric, that's for sure, and that medieval times story is still weird, to say the least. But Randy does seem...
Talking about the flash drive that was found with the piss porn on it.
Very passionate about Borderlands, and I mean, who can blame him? Like, did you know that Borderlands is in the top 5 best-selling first-person shooters of all time? Yeah, these games make a lot of money, and for good reason. Because they are fun and addictive to play, even when the writing is kind of terrible at times. I'm looking at you, Borderlands 3. Well, like I said...
At times. That whole game, the writing was just off. It was so off. Even when it was technically good, the rest of it was so bad that it was just off-putting whenever it was good.
The elephant in this vault is Randy himself. The guy just can't help himself, but seemed to let his ego get in his way all of the time. And I'm starting to think that Randy has been doing more damage than good for Borderlands the longer he's been allowed to say whatever it is that he wants to. So let's get into this. This is from PC Gamer. Randy Pitchford makes people mad again by warning that Borderlands 4 will take even longer to get deep discounts than Borderlands 3 did.
So I'm probably not going to buy this game at all ever then. It's not, I literally have every single Borderlands game. Not going to get this one because I'm priced out. Definitely wasn't going to pay $80. I'm still not paying $70.
Like I said, Randy has a tendency to just self-sabotage himself and his company by proxy every single time he decides to voice his opinion.
Like, why would you even say that? It's like he might know that there's something bad about this and he wants to go back to the Borderlands 2, but the culture is so ingrained in Gearbox, the weird freak culture. The sexual degenerate culture is just ingrained in Gearbox at this point. There's nothing that he can do except for sabotage it. Maybe. Hopefully that's what happens. What's happening? I don't think so.
To sum up what started this, Borderlands 3 was set to 95% off on Steam during the summer sale. Obviously, this was done to promote Borderlands 4 and get people interested in the franchise by promoting the previous game for the price of like a drink pretty much.
I remember when Borderlands 3 first came out. Or before Borderlands 3 came out, they completely ruined Borderlands 2's in-game. They completely changed it. They added that free DLC that just fucked everything. I liked how the in-game was going in Borderlands 2. And then they changed it. And I don't know why. Like, why would they do that? I fucking hate it. I want to go back to how it originally was. I hate when developers do that, man. When they're like, remember this 10-year-old game? Or this 5-year-old game, 6-year-old game, we're going to change it because it doesn't align with the new game. or there's problems in it. It's problematic. Get fucked, man. At least give me the choice, give me the option. I miss the overpowered levels stuff. I miss it.
It's a great deal, and if you haven't played Borderlands 3 and you are on Steam, that deal is insanely good. Of course, that's where this story should end. Borderlands 3 is 95% off. It's a good game with terrible writing, but if you play it on mute while listening to music or like a podcast or something, you're going to have a good time with it. Of course, though, Randy, being Randy, he had to be himself. Here's how he promoted it by saying, "Sales like this and Borderlands 3 showing up on console subscription programs took over 5 years from the game's launch to happen. Take advantage when it's here, and to set expectations, it will be even longer before this kind of thing happens in the next cycle with Borderlands 4.
Yeah, unless nobody buys it, but definitely people are going to buy it at first, but I think over time, nobody's going to buy Borderlands 4 if it turns out to be a disaster. Turns out to be worse than Borderlands 3. You're going to have mass refunds. It'll probably be broken on launch, too. Just like Borderlands 3 was. Completely broken on launch. Nobody remembers when games are broken on launch. It's like everybody forgets when these AAA games come out, when you get a new one, that the last games in the franchise were completely broken when they released. Everybody forgets this. They forgot about GTA 5. They forgot about Borderlands 3. Forgot about every single Call of Duty that's come out since Black Ops 2. Black Ops 2 was the last one that didn't release with a whole bunch of fucking problems, and it's still released with some problems. Fucking sick of it.
Randy, already soiling the 95% off by pretty much saying this is good, but don't expect this for Borderlands 4 anytime soon.
Yeah, because they got to make as much money as possible. But these idiots don't realize that it just hurts them. It hurts them completely. And you're not going to gain any new fans, because new fans aren't going to take a chance on a $70, $80 game. By the way, it's not going to be $70. That's the base price for the base game. And if they don't drop the price and then they add all the DLC, it's going to be like $120.
You're going to have to pay more for longer until it happens to get this cheaper in the future. I mean, what are we doing, man? As one user would reply by saying, "You really do like to throw water on your own fire."
And I wonder what the monetization's going to be like.
Randy would fire back with, "Just trying to be helpful. I suppose a cynical mind might see it another way."
I bet they put in a battle pass. What do you think? You think they'll put in a battle pass? I'm calling it now.
But I think your comment reveals more about you than it does about me. Cheers. No, Randy, see what I mean? Okay, this video is now going to pretty much be an intervention for Randy, guys. Someone please send this video to Randy Pitchford, for God's sakes. Look, again, I don't hate Randy. He does good work, but I have to imagine that the guy is about as media trained as a toddler. First of all,
the guy is an actual fucking massive retard.
Why are you responding to a user on a public forum telling them that they're miserable and wrong? You're the CEO of Gearbox, man. Why are you doing this? Why even get into petty...
Because he is online brained. He is social media brained. He can't stop. His brain has been rotted.
Squabbles like this. The correct response to that comment would simply be, "My bad, thanks for the support," and then moving on with your day.
Yeah, it's crazy how all these woke, garbage, fake people can never take accountability. Never, ever, ever. Every single one of them. My other videos, I'm talking about the same shit with different people that have nothing to do with this guy. It's just these insane leftists that pretend they're leftists, by the way. They're not real leftists. They just pretend. Because it's popular. They don't want the fake, crazy, insane freak leftists to cancel them. To burn down their cars and buildings. They don't want protests. They don't want violence to be thrown their way. And that's what you're gonna get. When you finally do the thing to step out of line, you step out of line an inch, they'll have your fucking head. Every fucking time with this.
Another user would comment saying, "I swear he is absolutely terrible at marketing. Why did this need to be said like this? Also, I thought you didn't have a say in pricing, and how did Randy respond? I am not marketing. I am trying to be helpful. I don't set pricing and did not even know about the sale before it was announced. However, I do know a lot about the macro games industry and business and have seen our games through many cycles over many years. Cheers.
Yeah, except we're not in the same place that we used to be, for one. And another, you're just full of shit. You're a liar. You are the CEO of Gearbox. Of course you have a say. You just don't want to have a say. You want to pretend you don't have a say, so you can make more and more and more money. But that's not how it's going to go. You're going to make your money initially, but people are going to forget about this game just like they did with Borderlands 3. Nobody goes back to play Borderlands 3. Everybody goes back to play Borderlands 1 and 2 and the pre-sequel. And even the pre-sequel got kind of weird, freaky, and woke.
A little bit better, but you're still coming off as condescending, Randy. Also, how does the CEO of the game that is on sale not somehow know that his game is going to be on sale? Come on, Randy.
He does. He 100% does. He just doesn't care. I mean, he probably didn't know, but not because he doesn't have a say, just because he does not care. That's not what he's worried about. Right now, he's worried about marketing, even though he said he's not marketing. But why does he keep talking about his game and sharing stuff online, sharing stuff on Twitter if he's not marketing? That is fucking marketing. He's talking about Borderlands 4 constantly as the CEO. That is marketing, dude. Fucking guy. He's a massive piece of shit lying retard. And I think they just need to, they either need to shut down the Borderlands franchise, stop doing it, or sell it off.
And then another user would say this: you and your team make some of my favorite games, but you make it really hard to like you when you spit crap out like this.
I think they've only made like, oh shit, I just had to think about it for a minute. I was trying to think of a game that Gearbox made recently that I like. I don't think that they have. I think the last game that Gearbox made that I liked was Borderlands 2. Borderlands, the pre-sequel, wasn't even really made by them. That was made by like 2K Australia.
It's like you never learned. The Battleborn Overwatch incident, many people blame you for Battleborn's failure.
Oh fuck, I forgot about Battleborn. Yeah, that game. Massive, massive failure.
And as you can see, Randy at least takes accountability for Battleborn, but the statement remains, which is that Randy needs media training.
Yeah, Battleborn was the original Concord. It just lasted a lot longer, and then they shut it down. They didn't, like, shut it down within the first week.
Or at the very least, he just needs to delete Twitter from his phone. Or
True.
maybe just have someone else manage his account.
Yeah, he needs to get offline. He needs to get off the internet. All these people need to get off the internet.
That is actually media trained. Because every single problem with Borderlands 4 seemingly doesn't even come from the game itself. Instead, its woes and its issues lie solely with Randy as a person. It's like he can't get out of the way of his own massive ego, and it shows.
Yeah, and then probably hiring a bunch of people that he thinks are cool, thinks that will make him more popular within the woke culture that is dying, by the way. They're trying to double down on this because they started making this game when woke was like at its peak. And everybody's tired of this shit, and they're not seeing it. They're not seeing it.
However, this one here is justification alone that Randy Pitchford just needs to delete Twitter, not for censorship reasons, but like business ones. Because come look at this, guys. This one user would say, still not buying anything from you ever again. How does Randy respond to this? Cool, bro. I'm not selling anything to you ever again either. Cheers.
Why would you even respond? Why? It makes no sense. Dude's got 55 likes and had no comments. And he had to comment. Had 2,000 views. What the fuck are you doing, bro? If you can't take the heat, get out of the fucking kitchen.
Oh my god, Randy. Somebody, please. Anyone at Gearbox is watching this, please. Is nobody confronting Randy about this stuff?
No, because they'll be fired.
Why are you letting your...
People, do you know what happens when people confront Randy? They end up getting into a fist fight. Because that literally fucking happened. Every cool person that was involved with Borderlands and Borderlands 2 are out now because of Randy Pitchford. The biggest, most famous character, Claptrap, quit because of Randy Pitchford. The guy who played Handsome Jack, Troy Baker, quit because of Randy Pitchford.
CEO talk like this to customers. We all know if a Gearbox employee talked like this to a user on Twitter or something like that, they would be raked over the coals for potentially sabotaging Gearbox's finances and public image internally. Yet I guess because it's the CEO, he's just allowed a free pass to literally say, cool, bro, we don't want your money anyways. Does Randy understand how business works? Apparently he does, but like, come on, man, your public persona matters. You can't be saying stuff like this.
Yeah, it's like he's trying to garner a community. He's trying to create a community of people who absolutely love it. Anybody that has any kind of criticism, get the fuck out of here. We don't want you playing our game anyway. That's absolute trash, man. That's how you get into an echo chamber and just create shit.
Because you're not just talking to this guy on Twitter. Your response is public. It's to everyone who reads it who is a fan to Gearbox's games. People who liked his post showed support to not buy your game. If we take that guy's response and likes and equate it to a dollar value, before taxes, that means that this single comment represents a net loss of almost $4,000 for Gearbox based on likes alone. Sure, Randy might go, what's $4,000 to someone like me? But that's the hubris again. That could easily balloon to 40,000, then 400,000, then 4 million, and so on. And this is why I keep saying that the biggest problem with Borderlands 4 right now is Randy Pitchford. I don't hate him. I understand that he's important to the overall vision of
Also, the woke culture, that's a pretty big problem.
Borderlands, since he did help make it a thing to begin with. But Randy, dude, this is not...
Like, have you seen the people who work at Gearbox? Look it up. Look it up real quick.
Not the way to go. You need to stop talking like this to your customers. In the examples I showed alone, you basically said you're okay with players boycotting you that don't agree with you, I guess. That you don't set the pricing of your games despite telling people not to expect price changes on Borderlands 4, and you're just getting into online fights for no reason. Another user would respond, you're gonna get such a shock when Borderlands 4 flops on launch.
That's not gonna happen. It's probably not gonna flop. Technically, it's not gonna flop. But is it going to make the money that they need? Because $400 million, $450 million, however much this game costs, probably more than that. Because they're still spending money on it. It's not done. You're going to have to, you can't just make a little bit more than that. You pretty much got to double that. You've got to make almost $1 billion just to profit. Because how else are you going to make Borderlands 5 bigger and better than Borderlands 4 if it costs $450 million? It's unsustainable, man. It's unsustainable.
Plenty will play it in the following years when those sales come. On launch, it's an incomplete game, launch bugs, years of drip feeding content. In 4 years, it's perfect, complete, and costs $10. Randy then says this will not age well. See you in September. Look, again, like I said, I don't think Borderlands 4 will flop. But good Lord Almighty, can someone at Gearbox put the Hannibal Lecter muzzle on Randy's face? Like, at least until a few months after Borderlands 4 officially releases, because this guy's going to cost you money and goodwill, all because his ego just can't handle arguing with online internet strangers. However, not everyone thinks...
Yeah, he's arguing with people who might not have even played the games or bought them in the first place, probably weren't even fans, and they're just bullshitting. They're just saying random shit online. Could even be bots. You never know. Like, what the fuck are you doing, bro?
This way, okay? You have Game Rant, which came to the defense of Randy with their article recently titled, Borderlands 4 sales controversy is proof the industry needs transparency even though it won't listen to what Randy Pitchford has to say. As they state here in their article, Game Rant believes that Randy is simply being transparent and realistic with his reasons as to why Borderlands 4 is what it is. How this honest communication on Randy's side is warranted, but might not be widely adopted industry-wide because of hostile comments from fans. But to me, what this just sounds like is damage control for a gaming executive who just refuses to learn how to read the room. The problem here is not that the fans are hostile, because nobody would be attacking or criticizing Borderlands 4 at all if not for Randy's comments in the past.
Yeah, people don't criticize games that are 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Except for the woke people that aren't going to play it anyway. They'll criticize it. Regular people who wanted to buy your game, if you're fucking with them, if you're pissing them off, then they'll, even if your game is good, they're not going to buy it. Out of principle. So you just need to shut the fuck up. And just let it be. Just let it happen. But he can't, because he's a fucking idiot.
We all know the if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to buy the game story, which was the initial catalyst for Borderlands.
Do you guys not have phones? Do you guys not have phones? Same fucking thing.
4's online presence to just go, nuclear. And while Game Rant might believe this is Randy being transparent,
Does anybody know about Diablo 4? Anybody know about that whole situation? How it succeeded, broke records. It was the fastest selling game Blizzard ever made, and then it failed over time because they needed to make more and more money and they couldn't make enough. So they had to start doing deals. They had to release it on Steam. They had to completely change how they were running Diablo 4 because it fucking sucked and their player base was dropping off. And look at it now. Nobody's even talking about it.
It isn't. It's just damaging. It's condescending. It shows actually a complete lack of understanding on the fundamentals of what fans want from games and the people who make them. Versus what the people who make them think fans want. Yes, people do love transparency. There's nothing wrong with telling things how it is in theory. However, with Randy, like I've shown already, he's allowing his ego to get in the way of his own success time and time and time and time and time again. It's never okay to attack your fans, regardless of the reasonings that you might think or the justification. You never do it because you never attack the customer. Always.
And he's known to completely lie to everybody, even the people that he works for, in order to get what he wants. That's how Borderlands 2 got made, by the way, which is cool. It's kind of badass that he did that. But with that same mindset, he kept it. He kept it going forward, and it fucked everything up because he lied to 2K and to Take-Two about alien colonial marines. That it was going to be a good game. It was going to be excellent. Biggest game of the year. Game of the year. But really, he was just secretly siphoning funds to make Borderlands 2. Which is awesome. But also complete bullshit. And that just shows that he's a liar.
Please remember that if you're facing backlash for any one reason, you have to understand that it comes from a place of frustration and betrayal on the other side. So when you're seeing a gaming website like Game Rant here white knighting for a gaming CEO, it doesn't really surprise me, because Game Rant does try to justify Randy's defense that Borderlands 4 will not.
Yep, it's all the typical people. PC Gamer, Game Rant, IGN, Kotaku, they're all on this guy's side, on these people's side. And we're all against those things. It's like obvious. It's obvious. Why do you side with these dumbass, glazing, woke companies that are pretending to be game reviewers?
Not to be on sale for a long time because of the reasons they list here as seen. Stuff like costs have gone up and AAA budgets have ballooned. Okay, but this doesn't justify anything. How does the actions of executives...
All of this is artificial. AAA budgets have ballooned. That is artificial. They did this on purpose. So they bloat their games, spend their money on things they don't need to spend money on, worry about DEI and woke stuff in their games. They pay outside sources to make sure that they don't offend anybody. If there's anything offensive or problematic in their games, these people are going to tell them, and so they can remove it. Or just not put it in there in the first place. They waste so much money throwing $30,000 parties for journalists. Alyssa Mercante.
Executives who decide these budgets somehow become the problem of the consumer. It would be like me making a video and then saying, this video better get 1 million views plus. Why? What do you mean why? Do you know how much work goes into it? How dare you blah blah blah. No, you don't do that. It's not the consumer's job to sympathize or accept why you're being anti-consumer or hostile towards them.
Yeah, I don't give a shit, bro.
I hate to break it to you guys, but these people, like the consumers and the creators, the consumers, they don't owe you anything. They're free to spend their money or time anywhere that they please. And trying to claim Borderlands 4 can't go on sale anytime soon, even though it will, I guarantee you, it's gonna be.
I get people all the time telling me that I don't buy AAA games because I'm poor. And that's just the fucking dumbest take that I've ever heard.
Be like 20 to 30% off like 2 months after release during the winter season. Like, come on already. That always happens. I guess not if you're Nintendo, because their games never go on sale. But saying, oh, it can't happen because this game was expensive and we need the money, it's not the consumer's fault. I'm not sorry. Nobody asked the industry to make their budgets bigger than like a Marvel's Avengers movie.
True. Who asked for you to bloat these games? Who asked for you to put the woke shit in these games? Who asked for you to pay these, like, embracer groups like Sweet Baby Inc? Who asked you? to pay these people. Nobody except yourself, because you don't want to be problematic. You don't want to be canceled by the popular freaks on the left who are not so popular anymore.
We've seen that cheaper made, less expensive to buy games are doing great.
Yeah. Games like Borderlands 4, they're not going to be hailed as some of the greatest games of all time going forward. In the future, when we look back at these games like Expedition 33, they're going to be still looked at like some of the greatest games of all time. What happened? The PS2 era, the Xbox 360 era, we had like 20 to 30 fucking massive bangers every year. More than that, we'd had 30, 40, 50. But as soon as everything started becoming online, as soon as we started implementing social media features into the consoles, into the video games, everything started going to shit. Because everybody's chasing trends, trying to be the most popular, trying to also not offend anybody, trying to garner the biggest audience they can, the modern audience. Remember when people were doing that in the 90s? In the 80s and 90s, we were getting all these trash shovelware games that were mid as fuck. Nobody cares about those anymore. Now we make videos about them, about how bad they were, and make fun of them, like Angry Video Game Nerd, Scott the Waz, you know? These types of people. JonTron.
And making profits this year already. And I think what's happening here, and correct me if I'm wrong, but all of this just sounds like the death cries of an industry that is just desperate to justify their own hubris and their shortcomings. As instead of changing how they do things, changing and adapting to the meta, readdressing how games are made or marketed. No, instead, they're so fixed into their ways that the idea of changing how they do things is just seen as impossible to them now.
I have a feeling that I'm going to be playing this game, and I'm going to be wondering, like, holy shit, how did they spend $450 million on this game? And also they're using the Unreal Engine to make everything easier on themselves? How is that? I understand they've always used the Unreal Engine. I understand that. But they're making it look like every other Unreal Engine game. They're not trying to make it look like Borderlands using Unreal Engine. They're making it look like Unreal Engine is trying to make a Borderlands game. That's what it looks like. That they generated Borderlands inside the Unreal Engine instead of building Borderlands off of the Unreal Engine. That's what it looks like. It looks like every other fucking game. I guarantee you that when this game releases, you can look out over a landscape in Borderlands, look out over a landscape in Halo 5, or no, not Halo 5, Halo Infinite 2, whatever it's going to be. You can look at Witcher 4, and you won't be able to tell the difference. Oblivion Remastered, you won't be able to tell the difference.
We can't make cheaper Borderlands games or anything else. Why? Because that's just not how we do it. We need to keep making it bigger. Even though just making your game bigger and costing more doesn't always mean that they're better. The industry is changing. Yeah, we know that, but it seems like the only thing not changing are the people who seem to be wanting to stay in positions that are just steering these ships or studios, if you will.
I'm just waiting for a game to come out that's going to be literally like what should have been Borderlands 3. There's going to be like a Borderlands 3 style game that is going to be a better sequel to Borderlands 1 and 2 than Borderlands 3. And it's going to be made by some completely different developer who's going to encapsulate the feelings of the first two Borderlands games and going to completely destroy Gearbox. I'm just waiting for that to happen. And it's gonna.
To like new waters. Instead, they just seem terrified of altering course, as if it even to suggest a cheaper Borderlands game that's maybe like $40 or $50 at launch and is smaller, that's somehow a bad idea.
Yeah, like a pre-sequel too. Why can't we have one of those? It'd be fucking awesome, man. Because that was a small game. They don't do that anymore.
Obviously, we know price matters to what people support. Borderlands 4 being 70 and not 80 now, yeah, that's a step in the right direction. But it doesn't help when you have a middle-aged man acting like a teenager on social media that is picking fights publicly because people are annoyed with him.
Yeah, and he acts like he knows what's cool, and all the things that he thinks are cool go into the games, and he's super lame. I think this game, its humor is going to be lame, and it's going to be outdated by like 4 years. Because it's going to be like Gen Z humor again.
But the cope is real, because Game Brand said this, and I mean, just let me read this for you. There's certainly a conversation to be had that continues to be had about the ballooning development costs in the AAA sector of the industry. But Randy's transparency regarding this is welcome, except when it isn't. The top comments are all vitriolic remarks, citing Randy as bad at marketing, saying that he's full of crap, and a lot less savory remarks, and Randy took the time to reply to several of them. He met the energy of some of them, tried to reason with those who were respectful, and otherwise took a lot on the chin. Randy is not marketing Borderlands 4 in tweets like this, he is setting expectations. He is not trying to sell a dream of the next genre-defining looter-shooter game on the market, skyrocketing expectations of its fans. He is being transparent. And his seemingly good faith gestures and remarks have been met with bad faith readings that assume the worst. Oh my god, Game Rant, could you have his package in your mouth even more if you tried? This sounds either like a super fan of Borderlands, who doesn't want it to fail, or like Gearbox paid for it. I'm not insinuating that they did, okay?
Yeah, most likely access journalism. It's weird though, because they don't do it the same way that they used to, where they actually directly pay them. Now it's like a nudge, like a wink wink nudge nudge kind of thing, you know? They're all in the same kind of culture. And it's not the culture of the majority of gamers. It's a weirdo fucking culture. And there's going to be a lot of people who buy Borderlands 4, beat it, and don't like it. And they're just because it's another Borderlands game. And pretty soon something's got to give. Pretty soon people are going to be completely out. Pretty soon the sentiment is going to be against it. Just like Assassin's Creed. Just like Call of Duty. Just like Civilization 7. Just like all these games. Which, by the way, have you seen how Civilization 7's doing right now? It's fucking abysmal.
Relax, but Game Rant claiming that the top comments were nasty? That's just cope, dude. Come on. They're only the top comments because Randy responded to them, so that's why they get put to the top, which
people are saying things that I don't like. Oh, it hurts my fifis.
Proves, if anything, then Randy just has a strange ability to sift through, comments online and then find the absolute worst ones to just respond to 100% of the time. In fact, if you ask me anyway, he shouldn't respond to them at all. When the Borderlands 3 95% sale got announced, he should have just said, if you've never played Borderlands, now is the time to try it out for yourself. Thanks for the support as always, and see you in September. And that,
legit. Holy shit. It's so easy to see what you're supposed to do, but constantly at every turn, these people, man, they do the wrong thing. They're fucking idiots. They have lost the plot completely.
That's literally it. Because neutral responses work the best. Instead, he undermined an easy win again, mind you, by letting his ego get in the way. And come on, it keeps happening. So claiming that Randy is being harassed when he's just getting...
And he's not going to change. He's not going to change. It's just eventually... everything's gonna go down the shitter. It's already circling the drain.
Comments from people commenting on the already stupid things that he said about Borderlands in the past, just 2 months ago even, is not because he's a victim. All of this is because Randy doesn't know how to control his emotions.
Yeah, because he's a massive fucking emotional retard. Just like the rest of the fake people on the insane left. And people want to be like, oh, why are you bringing politics into it? This isn't about politics. It is. These people made it political by entering themselves on the wrong side of the culture war, which is inherently political.
That might sting a bit, but he has to look inward and be, real with himself. Because those comments, they would not exist if he never said, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to buy it in the first place.
I bet one of the main characters in Borderlands 4 is trans. What do you want to bet?
How do you expect people to respond? They should just lay down and take it? Of course not. And this is what I mean when I say that gaming journalism continues to push disinformation and cope like this. Because if you took this article at face value without, knowing everything else around it context-wise, you would think that Randy was like Shigeru Miyamoto, just standing there innocently and staring at the camera and smiling, and then for no reason.
Yeah, these idiots are they're gonna make the pendulum swing in the opposite direction. We're just not going to be able to put anything cool in our games because everything's going to be problematic the other way. Not allowed to have anything sexual at all. Not allowed to have any kind of offensive language. Because these morons have doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down on the woke culture. And they just can't stop. They have double, triple, quadruple down on everything that the corporations want. These corporate fucking morons are destroying everything. They're making everything worse. The enshittification is multiplying.
Just comes out of somewhere and just punched him in the face and knocked him out. But in reality, no, he did that to himself. Like, I don't know how much more clear we have to be with that. Here, for full transparency's sake, here's the tweet from Randy that he said, I did not edit this in some way or whatever, that started this whole storm for Borderlands 4 originally. Here, the real fan tweet, go ahead, read it for yourself multiple times, pause the video, tell me anywhere in that with context that it somehow paints Randy as being a victim.
I do not give a shit at all about how much games cost in the past. I don't. Because guess what? Back in the 90s, if there was a game that was $80 that I really wanted, I wasn't going to buy it for $80. Also, games were a spectacle back then. Games were incredibly hard to make back then. Now the only thing hard to do about making video games is making it bigger and better and more expensive than the last one. That's the only thing that's hard. How are we going to figure out how we can cut corners to save costs so we can spend more money? That's what they do. Nobody knew how to make video games back then. Nobody knew what price to price video games at. Also, how many copies did that game sell? How many copies did the Starflight video game sell in the 90s? Well, Google couldn't understand. I'm about to de-Google my phone, man. I'm about to install Graphene OS because it just fucking sucks. Everything Google fucking sucks. How many copies did Starflight sell in the 90s? Oh, would you look at that? The fucking Google voice recognition doesn't even work. I have to manually type it. Didn't used to be like that. It used to get my voice straight up every time. No problems at all. This isn't supposed to be about Google. The old internet says that it sold about 1 million copies for the original version in the 80s, and definitely sold fewer than that in the 90s on the Sega Genesis. So, less than 2 million copies. How many copies is Borderlands 4 supposed to sell? How many to make it profitable?
You know that it doesn't. It does nothing of the sort. This is the response of a man, let's be honest, whose ego is too big. Again, I'm not launching a hate campaign against Randy. This video is an intervention for this guy to come to terms with the fact that he can be a CEO of a company. But it doesn't mean that you can't be wrong about the things that you say too. And I am fully aware that me making this video will probably not put me in Gearbox's good graces, and I'm okay with that because someone has to say it. Look, I like Gearbox. I played all the Borderlands games. Well, not Tales from the Borderlands 2 because that looked like ass, but I played everything else.
Yeah, I don't even know anything about it. I just saw some screenshots and some of the characters, and I was like, no, I'm out on this one. Maybe I'll watch somebody play it just so I can get some context of what the story's like, but I bet it's trash.
But I don't want people to boycott Gearbox or reject Borderlands 4, but we need to address this problem with Randy now, before things get worse in the future, and he ends up saying something even more stupid or dividing people more. Like I said in another video on Borderlands 4 like a month ago, all Randy should be doing on Twitter is just retweeting fan art or clips of fans enjoying the Borderlands games.
True. And like, where do we go from here? What's Borderlands 5 going to be like? Are we going to spend $500 million on that game? Are we $600 million? Are we going to double it? $800 million? Because it's got to be bigger and better. That game's probably not going to release for another decade. And then what happens if it's a flop? What happens if it doesn't meet sales expectations? After a decade of work. It's so unsustainable. It's so bad, man. It's so bad. I think we got 20 years until we get a Borderlands 6. If that's even a possibility.
Maybe retweet some cosplayers and say like, wow, this looks awesome. Thanks for cosplaying our game, and that's it. Like, it can be so easy for Gearbox and Randy, but he just refuses to not let his opinions get in the way of what should be. Like the easiest slam dunk release of the year. Are you kidding me? Borderlands 4, dude. Come on. This should just make like all the money in the world. But like whenever the new trailer for Borderlands...
Well, it's got to make all the money in the world. And I don't think it's gonna. I think it's gonna make a little bit more than what they spent on it. They might make 500 million. As in, like, that's what they're gonna get, which would really mean they profited like maybe 100 million. That's not enough, That's not enough to make a Borderlands 5. They're gonna need like $1 billion off of this game.
Borderlands 4 inevitably releases in the future, all Randy has to do, okay, is just hit the retweet button with the release date, maybe just say like, September 2025. But at this point, I fully expect Randy to instead retweet a new trailer and then say something like, can't wait to show the haters wrong in September, or something along those lines. And then the people will swarm the comments again, articles will be written again, opinions will multiply like loot blasting from a chest. And then we're right back where we started again. Like I said, hopefully someone sends this video to Randy and he actually watches it.
No shot. No shot. He's gonna watch actual criticism. These people can't take criticism. They used to, until people started deeming all criticism hate. Anytime you criticize somebody, you're actually just hating them and you want to see them fail. I don't want to see this game fail. I want this game, damn it. I want it to be good. I don't want it to fail. Borderlands is one of my favorite franchises. I wish that it could be as good as Resident Evil. Resident Evil, they're doing so good with it. So good.
And if he does, hello, Randy. Hope you're doing well. Know that none of this comes from a malicious place. And as a fan of Borderlands since the beginning, I am excited to play the next game. But for the love of God, man, you gotta stop doing this. Tone it down. Realize that what you're doing is not helping your game, and understand that when you hit send tweet with some malicious response, you're not just jeopardizing yourself, but the hundreds of people who rely on this game to be a success so they can stay employed and, support their families and whatnot. So stop attacking the fans. Take the advice that I'm giving you and focus on what really matters, which is your fan base of Borderlands fans, because without them, you have nothing, and you know that. So hopefully this video conveys the message that I want to say, that I'm sick and tired of CEOs or game devs or really anyone in the games industry at all attacking fans, twisting words, fighting online. It's just a headache that should be, in theory anyways, easy to avoid. And frankly,
yeah, where we go from here is more and more people are going to be out of the AAA gaming space and they're going to get into the AA gaming space. They're going to be playing more AA games, more indie games, more retro games.
I'm genuinely surprised by how often it just keeps on happening. And maybe, Randy, you can take some media classes to learn how to...
I'm not surprised at all. I'm not. Because the bigger these companies get, the more money they spend, the more money they have to make, the more corporate they become, and the dumber they get, and the more money brain they get. The more evil they get. Because money makes people evil the more and more money you have.
Respond to users. I'm sure you can get that, sorted out for you. Hell, you know what? I'll tutor you for God's sakes if I have to. This is me extending that olive branch to you. I don't want to see you nor Gearbox fail.
Why can't people just be fucking normal? I don't get it. Go back to the attitudes and the thinking of 2012, 2014. What the fuck happened? It's like 2016 and on. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse.
But we gotta start rebuilding this divide before it gets even worse. But that's all I had to say for now. What do you think about Randy's comments or Game Rant's, article? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. I'll see you next time. And I'm serious about that offer, Randy. I will literally give you advice if you want, so you don't end up in these situations again. My DMs are open. All right. Have a nice day, everybody.
He'd rather pay one of his friends who is woke, probably trans, waving around the pride flag to give him advice so they can have some kind of fake job than to actually take free advice from somebody offering it. Gearbox is so cooked. They're so rotten. This might be the last game. This might be the last Borderlands. Because there's no way. There's no way the next one doesn't take a decade or more to make. Because this one already almost took a decade.